For learning the software engineering, सब्सक्राइब दिस चैनल। सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियरिंग के कॉन्सेप्ट्स को सीखने के लिए इस चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कीजिए।
What is spiral model? So, this is the question that we discuss today in software engineering. Let's start. So, as you know, I think you don't know, maybe. So, spiral model is one of the most widely used SDLC, which means software development lifecycle models. It was proposed by Barry Boehm in 1986, and this model combines the features of both waterfall model and prototype model while placing a strong emphasis on risk analysis and risk management. This model is called spiral model because its development process is represented in the form of spiral, and here each loop of the spiral represents the one complete iteration, or you can say that phase of the software development. And unlike the traditional models that complete the entire software development process in a single cycle, this spiral model develops the software through multiple iterations, and during each iterations developers identifies the objectives, analyze risk, design and develop a part of the software, test it and obtain feedback from the customer. After that, based on this feedback, improvements are made in the next iteration, and this process helps in ensuring that the software meets the user requirements and expectations. So, next point is, which is very important, one of the most important characteristic of spiral model is its risk driven approach. And before implementing any feature, here development team carefully identifies and evaluates all possible risks that affect the project, such as technical difficulties, changing customer requirements, budget limitations, etc. And then appropriate strategies are developed to reduce these risks. This makes the spiral model reliable for developing large, complex, and high risk software system. Here you should one thing, if you are writing or learning for the exam, there will be same or repeated points you will feel. So choose your own points from these notes and meet your own points after that. And apart from that, you can learn basic or some things that are common in this, so you can make your own points after that. So that's I wanted to say. So next is, spiral model also provides significant flexibility because customer feedback is collected after every iteration, or you can say phase. And since the software is developed incrementally, here customer can review each versions and can suggest the modifications whenever necessary. And these suggestions are incorporated or included into the following iterations, and this ensures that the final product satisfies the requirements. And this continuous customer involvement improves the communication between development team and the client throughout the project. If you want to take any one of these points as advantages also, you can just take it. It's on you how you will use them in your exam or when anywhere. In spiral model, we can say that in this project manager plays a crucial role in the successful implementation of the spiral model, because every iteration or phase requires a careful planning, monitoring, and decision making. And here project manager defines the objective of each cycle and estimates the required time, cost, and resources. Also identifies the potential risks and ensures that proper strategies are adopted to minimize the risk. We can say that this effective project management ensures that the software is developed according to the project goals within the planned budget and schedule. And another important feature of spiral model is that it supports the continuous planning, ed- evaluation, and development and testing throughout the software development process. And instead of waiting until the end of the project to detect problems, here issues are identified and resolved during each iteration, and at the end of every cycle, software is reviewed, tested, and evaluated, and feedbacks are received, which is which used to improve the next version of the software. We can say that next version or next better version of the software. And this continuous process of evaluation and refinement improves the overall quality, reliability, and maintainability of the software while ensuring that the final product satisfies the customer requirements. Phases of spiral model. So we can say that spiral model consists of four major phases which are repeated during every iteration of the spiral, and each cycle results in an improved version of the software. So first is objective determination and identify alternative solutions, or you can say that planning or objective identification. So, in this phase, development team identifies the project objectives and gathers customer requirements, also defines the system specifications and determines the project schedules, and also prepare an overall development plan. In this, different possible approaches for implementing the software are also considered, and careful planning here provides a strong foundation for the remaining phases and helps the team to understand the project goals before the development begins. So, let's talk about the next phase, second phase. So, it is also known as risk analysis phase, and in this phase, risk, we can say that it is the most important phase of the spiral model. During this phase, developers identify potential technical, financial, operational, and managerial risks that could affect the project. And in this, each risk is carefully evaluated and appropriate strategies are developed to reduce or eliminate it. And in this, developers may build prototypes or conduct feasibility studies to validate risky components before full scale development begins. And this effective risk management significantly increases the probability of project success. Next is development engineering or development and testing phase, or you can say that in simple manner, customer evaluation and developing the next version of the product. So after the risk has been minimized in second phase, the actual development process begins. And during this phase, in this phase, third phase, developers designs the system architecture and write the program code, perform integration, and conduct various testing activities such as unit testing, integration testing, and system testing. I will explain them later in different video. So here the objective is to produce a working version of the software that satisfies the requirements defined for the current iteration while maintaining high quality and reliability. Next is our final phase. So you can say that review and plan for the next phase. Sorry, there is a little mistake here. Just remove the customer evaluation from there, okay, and add it here. So where we are in fourth phase. Yes. So it can also known as customer evaluation and planning for the next phase or next iteration. So guys, in this final phase, the developed software is presented to the customer for review and evaluation, and in this the customer verifies whether the software meets the specified requirements and can and provides the suggestions. I mean, customer provides the suggestions and corrections or additional requirements if necessary. And here, development team analyzes these feedbacks and update the project plan, and then identifies new objectives and risks, and then prepare for the next iteration of the spiral. We can say that this process continues until all the customer requirements have been successfully implemented and the final software product is completed. So this is all for phases of spiral model. So remember that this is a little mistake. You can just write it here. So now let's discuss the advantages and disadvantages of spiral model. So guys, first advantage of first advantage is excellent risk management. We can say that the greatest advantage of spiral model is its strong focus on risk analysis and risk management. And in this, risks are identified, analyzed, and resolved during every iteration or phase before significant development begins. And this approach minimizes the possibility of project failure and helps in ensuring that the technical, financial, and operational risks are addressed at an early stage. And it is suitable for experimental. It is suitable for large and complex project. So let me repeat it. So spiral model is highly suitable for large, complex, and mission critical software projects. And since in this development takes in multiple iterations, the, the project can be managed more effectively and complex requirements can be handled gradually, and this makes it easier to develop a reliable software system with fewer unexpected problems. Continuous customer involvement. In this model, customer participate throughout the development process by reviewing the software after each iteration, and their continuous feedback helps the development team to understand the changing requirements and then implementing the necessary modifications, and also results in if we as a result final software is more likely to meet the customer requirements and business objective. Flexibility to accommodate changes. Unlike the rigid development models, spiral model allows the changes to be introduced at almost at any stage of the project. If the customer requirements changes during the development, they can be incorporated or included into the future iterations without affecting the entire project. And this flexibility makes this suitable for project with changing projects with changing requirements. Remember that this can be a important point to write in an exam, and this one also. Early detections of errors. In spiral model, testing and evaluations are performed during every iteration rather than waiting until the end of the project. And this enables developers to identify defects or errors, design flaws, and technical issues at an early stage. And this early error detection reduces the cost and effort that required to fix those problems later. Next is improved software quality. Here in Spiral model, continuous testing, customer feedback, and repeated improvements enhance the overall quality of the software. And in this, as you know, every iteration produces a better version of the product, which result in a software that is reliable, efficient, secure, and easier to maintain. You can make this like this all points in your own language. Next is better project control. Since the since here the project is divided into several manageable iterations or phases, developers and project managers can monitor the progress more effectively. And here each iteration includes planning, development, testing, and evaluation, which makes it easier to estimate the cost, schedules, and resource requirements. So, next is disadvantages of the spiral model. First is high development cost. As we know, spiral model is more expensive than many other SDLC models because every iteration involves planning, risk analysis, design, development, and testing and customer evaluation. And these repeated activities increases the overall development cost. As you heard many times, like multiple iterations needs to be done to create a software, and there will be testing, development, and many other activities, monitoring. So that will require a major cost and time to build a software. So next is we also requires skilled and experienced professionals. So risk analysis is the foundation of the spiral model that we know, and performing the accurate risk and assessment requires highly experienced project managers, software architects, and developers. And organization without skilled professionals may find it difficult to apply this model successfully. Next is it is complex to manage. I mean, managing multiple iterations in this, and customer reviews, risk assessments, continuous planning makes the spiral model more complicated than simpler models such as waterfall model. And it is not suitable for the small projects or those projects that have simple requirements, or we can say that straightforward requirements. So spiral model is generally not recommended for small or low risk projects, and here the additional cost, planning, and risk analysis involved, and it may outweigh the benefits for the projects with simple and well defined requirements. In simple words, we can say that it is not suitable for the small projects because there, as I said, we need a large amount to build a software, and there is multiple iteration, multiple activities in this that needs to be done to develop a software here, and which will not be fit in a simple or small projects. So let's move to our next point. It is time consuming. Since in this every iteration includes several development activities, as I said, and customer evaluations, and the overall project may take a longer time to complete. Apart from that, continuous planning and repeated risk analysis can increase the development time, especially for very large projects. And there is a heavy dependence on risk analysis. We can say that the success of spiral model depends largely on the accuracy of the risk identification and management. And if important risks are overlooked or incorrectly analyzed, then that time the project may encounter significant technical or financial problems later in the development. So guys, that's it for today. Thank you for listening to me.